Hi guys, welcome back. So today the truck, we're going to be doing a little fix on it. The 2021 Toyota Tacoma. This is the third generation, and this one is a TRD off-road. On the struts, apparently there is an issue with the lower bolts. I've been having some squeaking going on in my suspension, and I know some of it is because of something that I did, but previously to that, I was still having an issue that I could not locate the source of. So I believe this might be what it is, so we're going to change it out and see. What I did is I tried to lubricate my coil spring seat with a dry lube, and it did work, but it works only temporarily, so it dried out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it with some lithium grease. That's better for it. If you're having squeaking in the seat there, the lithium grease will lubricate it up. So it was pretty bad. Like, even when I jacked it up, it was squeaking. So I got the tires off and ready to go. Just need to pull those bolts. Some of the things that you're going to need for this is a breaker bar, obviously. If you have one with a swiveling head, that's a lot better because you can't really get a straight angle on this, maybe with an extension. But if you use an extension, then you're going to need to make sure you hold the head while you turn the handle. Also a torque wrench, and the torque wrench will be for the bottom bolts when you get them in. I'll give you the torque specs later. I believe it's 61 foot-pounds, but I'll verify that. And then also for the lug nuts, make sure you torque your lug nuts. They're going to be torqued to 83 foot-pounds. My torque wrench only goes by 2s, so it'll be at 84, but as long as you're real close, it's going to be okay. But if you just crank on it, wildly guessing, you can end up damaging your rotors. So I don't recommend that unless you like your brakes pulsating. So the sockets is going to be a 19 millimeter short and deep set. That's going to be for the bolt, the lower bolt that's already in there. I'm going to use the deep set on this side and the short on the other side where the head is at over here. And then on the new bolts, this is a little kit that you can get. It says that it's for the 4Runner, but it is the same size bolt and it is the same length, and it is the same length on this part to where both of the collars on the side of the bushing will be sitting on that part. This is a zinc coated bolt, so it's corrosion resistant, and it's a real solid bolt, so 10.9. So I think those will work really good. Apparently the issue is that on the stock bolts there is a shoulder somewhere in the middle here, and so that shoulder, like, it kind of goes down to a smaller size in the middle of it, and so that shoulder is wearing on the bushing on the bottom of the strut. So it'll be interesting to see that. So hopefully I'm not doing this for nothing, but I'll let you know. If it's for nothing, well, I guess this video won't exist, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull those bolts and we'll check it out. And in the meantime, I'm gonna also spray down my my seats and get those lubed back up right. So I'll be back. Okay, so a couple of things I forgot. For the other side, where you're not using the breaker bar, you're going to need a ratchet and a short extension. 5-inch works great, or a 19 millimeter. These you'd use obviously the 19 millimeter short socket, but if you use those, you're going to come in right through here, obviously. And if you use the wrench, the only way that I can see to get to it is to come in through here. Oops, sorry guys. right through here between the sway bar and the CV boot. So you're going to have to make sure you keep it up against the sway bar while you break the other side free, because if you let it go against the CV axle, you're probably going to end up cutting into that boot. So I'm going to use the wrench here. I'm just going to hold it right up against the sway bar, so you should be able to also. Okay guys, sorry I keep adding tools, but you're going to need likely need a mallet to tap the end of the bolt to get it the rest of the way out, because it's a little bit wedged in there. And then to get the bolt back in, either a small screwdriver or a pry bar, just to pry underneath the strut bushing at the bottom to get it to line up. Either that, or I suppose you could pry the control arm down with that as well. And as far as the issue, this is the bolt, and it is exactly like they say. I don't know why they would use a bolt with a collar like that, or with a step like that. I guess it must have been something that was cheap, but you can see it's all worn just on that one spot, so all the stress of that the strut was taken is on that spot, and you can see a wear pattern inside the bushing as well. I don't think you'd be able to see it on camera, but it is worn there too. So you can see here, this is how it should be, so that it's all the same thickness. And once that wears, then it would seem like this end's not even, the only end that's actually contacting the bushing is over here. Once this wears, then well, you know, even before it wears, it would seem like this end could be kind of bouncing around. I guess actually once it wears, then it would kind of be flapping a little bit, I suppose. But yeah, that's definitely an issue. So I'll link the parts that I used in the description, or not in the description, I'm sorry, in the comments. I don't know that I can do that in the descriptions yet, but in the comments I'll put a link to the bolt kit that I bought, which is these 2 bolts and 2 washers and 2 nuts. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and change this out, but it's obviously a good reason to do this. Okay guys, so I apologize again. A mistake that I made. The bolt head on the new bolt is not actually 19 millimeter, it's an 18 millimeter. So you'll need the 19s for the old bolt, but 18 for the new. And either the 18 wrench or the socket with the extension, wherever I put that, on there, yeah. So you'll need an extension and an 18 millimeter socket to go on there, or just use the 18 millimeter wrench in through the sway bar and the CV axle bushing there. So and then when you put this in, make sure you just go hand tight on this, because we're not going to want to tighten the bushing until the suspension is loaded. You want to make sure that the weight is on it before you actually torque down the bushing, otherwise you can end up damaging the bushing. So I'm going to go ahead, and instead of putting the wheel on and lowering it down, I'm going to jack up under the control arm here enough to raise it up off of the jack stand, just so that I know it's fully loaded, and then I'm going to torque that down. So I'll be back. Okay guys, so as you can see here, we are on the passenger side, and what's nice about this side is when you're torquing this, the wrench holds it right against the stabilizer bar there, so that makes it real convenient. So when you torque it, because you're going to need an extension, make sure you hold the head of it and the handle at the same time. And when you lift this, if you do it this way, lift it all the way out towards the end, but not on the ball joint. And this way, I think is a whole lot better just because of the getting in there with a torque wrench. If you're on the ground, you are much more limited on the room that you have to get back in there, being that the tire's in the way and everything. But so that one's done, and 61 foot-pounds is the torque on that, and I will let you know if anything is different on the other side. So I'll be back. Okay, so I got the bolt out on the driver's side, and you can see same thing here. So this side was no different. So I see what all the fuss is about. And this is a good example of what to expect. It's not always going to be perfectly lined up. It's not going to want to always stay right there. So, you know, here I'm going to have to push back and pry from underneath to get the hole lined up. So you might need an extra hand here, or you might need to brace it against something, like brace something between the sway bar and the strut to hold it back while you pry up so that it lines up the hole. But you can do it. Just be patient, and once you get the back side in, then you know you can do the front side a lot easier, and then get the washer and the nut on there and hand tighten it, and then load up the suspension and then torque it to the 61 foot-pounds. But I think that's pretty much it. I did lube up the upper mounts. Well, it does look pretty ugly right now. I'm letting it soak in as much as it needs to, and then I'll wipe it off. But just lifting it before, the seats were squeaking when I lifted it with the jack, and now it's completely silent, so that's good news. But this here, I imagine this is the problem that I was having when I was hitting bumps, but we'll see. Okay, so I got the driver's side in, ready to torque it down as soon as I load up the suspension, but I wanted to explain why you do that. But first, when I got this in here, the way that I was able to do it is to just feed that small screwdriver back in through this end and pry it up and down, and then, you know, as I was doing that, work it further and further back underneath there, and using it as a lever just to lift it up to where it did line up with the hole. So it was possible without using two hands and without using the big pry bar. So the reason that you need to put the suspension under load or raise it up, and when you do, make sure you get it really just barely off your jack stand, because you want this to be level like it would be on the ground. If you torque it down right now, then you're going to lock this bushing sleeve inside here in, and when you raise the suspension, because the suspension is going to come up, it's going to twist that, and it's going to be under a constant strain. So your bushing will wear out if you do that. So definitely make sure it's under load before you torque it down, and that's pretty much on all suspension bushings as far as I know. So I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and lift this up, torque this one down, and then I'm going to throw the tires back on and torque it down. These were the tools that I used on this side, the torque wrench, the 19 millimeter I believe I used. I'm not really sure on that one, but the 18 millimeter I used, the rubber mallet I used, the short screwdriver, the short extension, the deep set 21, and the ratchet with the deep set 19, and I did not use the short 19 or 18, and I also did not use the breaker bar. The 61 foot-pounds torque on it is not that much. If you get a good pull on it with two hands, you'll be able to get it. And then the pry bar, like I said, I did not need the pry bar. All I really needed was this little screwdriver here. use the shorter one so that you can get it back in there, because you're limited on the room that you have. So I think that's about it. I hope this goes good for you guys, and hopefully this fixes any issues we're having. So I'm gonna go test drive it after this, and if I well, I guess I'll come back just for a moment just to let you know how it went, see if I noticed any difference. Okay guys, so I had to loosen it back up and put the truck on the ground so that I could make sure you could still torque it while it's on the ground. And you can. You can't get the wrench on the inside in between the sway bar and the strut, but you can get it on the back side of the strut. And the torque wrench, if you have one of these big 30 to 150, 250 pounds is mine, but I think these are usually like 30 to 150 or 180 something. But you can fit it in here. It's got to be close to a 2-foot torque wrench, but you can get it. Just when you're cranking it, you'll have to kind of crank it all the way to the ground and rotate the socket back in the other direction, and then rotate the socket in the other direction as you pull the handle back up, so that you can get a couple more clicks on it, because there's not a lot of room. You're only really able to get about 2 clicks. So if you can't get it, when you're trying to raise it up and get it to click, hold the socket in place while you pull it up, and it'll work. It's a little slow, but it gets it done. So 61 foot-pounds, and I'll be right back after I drive. Okay, so a little part I wanted to add here. I know this is pretty self-explanatory for people, for most people, but not everybody knows how to properly tighten up your lug nuts. So when you do this, use the socket and tighten them in a star pattern. So in this case, because it's 6 lug, you wouldn't do your standard, I don't know, 5-point star. So here you're gonna start on 1, go to the next, past the one next to it, and then the next past that one, and then jump to the opposite side, and then skip one to the next one, and then skip one to the next one. So do it in 3 stages. Tighten it up by hand with the socket as tight as you can get it. Get all of them torqued down by hand, and then hook up your torque wrench and get them to where they're lightly tightened. Don't crank on it real heavy, just get it to where they're snug down decent, and then the final torque after that. That way you're tightening them all evenly and you don't end up warping anything. These are a 21 millimeter, but you may not be able to get a 21 millimeter on yours. If you've gone to a mechanic or a tire shop that uses an impact, you'll likely have to use a 22, because they mushroom the caps on the lug nuts. So find a new mechanic or tire shop if that's the case. But 21 millimeters, and they are 83 foot-pounds. I did 84 because, again, my torque wrench only goes by 2s. And make sure that when you're done, you don't forget this guy, because if you take off without that, it's gonna fly off, and who knows where. You'll never find it again, and then you'll have to order a new key to even be able to get your tires off. So very important to remember that. Alright, so I just took the test drive, and the difference is night and day. It took me all of about 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, till I got to the edge of the road here and could feel the difference in going over the bumps, the edge of the road there. It is way smoother. I didn't realize it, but over the life of this truck, I've been progressively babying it more and more, the suspension, and when I hit bumps, and now I can really tell. it's like new suspension just from those 2 bolts. If you have this truck and you think you have bad struts, don't replace them. Just go replace those bolts and you'll likely fix the problem. I forgot to actually record it, but you may see it in the part of the video where I was pushing the strut back towards the hole. The bushing is actually pretty damaged, and it's kind of stretched and a little bit of a tear, and I wanted to kind of demonstrate here what is going on. So if I take this nut off here, sorry guys, I should have prepared for this, but if I take that nut off there, this washer, imagine that being the housing or the bracket that it goes through. So you can see right here, this is loose. If we imagine this is tight there, well, on this end it's going to be tight, and here it's going to be tight. Over here it's just going to be free floating until right here wears down, and once right here wears down, then this is going to be just sloppy, flopping around. So there was a lot more going on there than I realized was. So if you have this truck, change this. Even if you don't think you have a problem, change it. You'll realize you did. So I hope this goes well for you guys. I'm gonna link the bolt pack in the comments, and I know it was a little chaotic with figuring out which tools to use, but I hope I made it easier for you guys, and well, I'll see you in the next one.